What's up, you guys? It's Ruthie and welcome back to my channel. In today's video we're going to go into chapter 4 of Marked by PC Cast and Kristen Cast. So let's get right into this video. This video may contain sensitive topics and foul language. If you do not wish to continue, I suggest you click off the video now. You have been warned. So I sat on my bed and coughed while I listened to my mom making a frantic call to our shrink's emergency line, followed quickly by another equally hysterical call that would activate the dreaded People of Faith prayer tree. Within 30 minutes, our house would begin to fill up with middle-aged, judgy women and their controlling husbands. They'd call me out to the family room. My mark would be considered a really big, embarrassing problem, so they'd probably anoint me with some crap that was sure to clog my pores and give me a cyclops-sized zit before laying their hands on me and praying. They'd ask God to help me stop being such an awful teenager and a problem to my parents. Oh, and the little matter of my mark needed to be cleared up too. If only it were that simple. I'd gladly make a deal with God to be a good kid versus changing schools and species. I'd even take the geometry test. Well, okay, maybe not the geometry test, but still, it's not like I asked to become a freak. This whole thing meant that I was going to have to leave, to start my life over somewhere I'd be the new kid, somewhere I didn't have any friends. I blinked hard, forcing myself not to cry. School was the only place I really felt at home anymore. My friends were my only family. I balled up my fists and squished my face up to keep from crying. One step at a time. I just take this one step at a time. No way I was going to deal with the clones of the step loser on top of everything else, and if the People of Faith weren't bad enough, the horrid prayer session would be followed by an equally annoying session with Dr. Asher. He talked to me like I'm 6 instead of 16 and asked me a lot of patronizing questions about how this and that made me feel. Then he'd babble on and on about teenage anger and the angst being normal, but that only I could choose how I would have impacted my life, blah, 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 blah. And since this was an emergency, he'd probably want me to draw something that represented my inner child or whatever. I definitely had to get out of here. Good thing I've always been the bad kid and was well prepared for a situation like this. Okay, I wasn't exactly thinking about escaping from my house so I could run off and join the vampires when I put a spare key to my car under the flower pot outside my window. I was just considering that I might want to sneak out and go to Kayla's house, or if I really wanted to be bad, I might meet Heath at the park and make out. But then Heath started drinking and I started to change into a vampire. Sometimes life doesn't make any sense. I grabbed my backpack, opened my window, and with an ease that said more about my sinful nature than my step-loser's boring lectures, I popped out my window screen. I put on my sunglasses and peeked out. It was only 4:30 or so and not dark yet, so I was really glad that our privacy fence hid me from our totally noisy neighbors. On this side of the house, the only other windows were to my sister's room, and she should still be at cheerleading practice. Hell must truly be freezing over because for once I was sincerely glad my sister's world revolved around what she called the sport of cheer. I dropped my backpack out the front first and then slowly followed it out the window, being careful not to make even a small oof of noise. When I landed in the grass, I paused there for way too many minutes, burying my face in my arms to muffle my horrible cough. Then I bent over and lifted up the edge of the pot that held the lavender plant Grandma Redbird had given me, and let my fingers find the hard metal of the key where it nestled against the smushed grass. The gate didn't even squeak when I cracked it open and inched out like one of Charlie's angels. My cute bug was sitting there where she always sat, right in the front of the third door to the 3-car garage. The step-loser wouldn't let me park her inside because he said the lawnmower was more important than a vintage VW. How? That didn't even make sense. Geesh. I just sounded like a guy. Since when did I care about the vintages of my bug? I must really be changing. I looked both ways. Nothing. I sprinted for my bug, jumped in, put it in neutral, and was truly thankful that our driveway was ridiculously steep when my wonderful car rolled smoothly and silently into the street. From there, it was east to start it and zip out of the neighborhood of big, expensive houses. I didn't even glance in the rearview mirror. I didn't reach over and turn off my cell phone. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I did reach over and turn off my cell phone. I didn't want to talk to anyone. No, that wasn't exactly true. There was only one person I really wanted to talk to. She was the person in the world who I was positive would look at my mark and think I was a monster or a freak or a really awful person. Like my bug could read my mind, it seemed to turn all by itself onto the highway that led to Muskogee Turnpike and eventually to the most wonderful place in the world, my Grandma Redbird's lavender farm. Unlike the drive from school to home, the hour-and-a-half trip to Grandma Redbird's farm seemed to take forever. By the time I pulled off to the 2-lane highway onto the packed dirt road that led to Grandma's place, my body ached even worse than it did the time they hired that crazy new gym teacher who thought we should do insane weight circuits while she cracked her whip at us and cackled. Okay, so maybe she didn't have a whip, but still, my muscles hurt like hell. It was almost 6 o'clock and the sun was finally starting to set, but my eyes still stung. Actually, even the fading sunlight made my skin feel tingly and weird. It made me glad that it was the end of October and it had finally turned cool enough for me to wear my Borg Invasion 40 hoodie, which thankfully covered most of my skin. Before I got out of my bug, I dug around in the backseat until I found my old OSU trucker's hat and pulled it down on my head so that my face was out of the sun. My grandma's house sat between 2 lavender fields and was shaded by huge old oaks. It was built in 1942 of raw Oklahoma stone with a comfortable porch and unusually big windows. I loved this house. Just climbing the little wooden stairs that led to the porch made me feel better, safe. Then I saw the note taped on the outside of the door. It was easy to recognize Grandma Redbird's pretty handwriting. I'm on the bluffs collecting wildflowers. I touched the soft lavender-scented paper. She always knew when I was coming for a visit. When I was a kid, I used to think it was weird, but as I got older, I appreciated the extra scent she had. All my life, I've known that no matter what, I could count on Grandma Redbird. During those awful first months after Mom married John, I think I would have shriveled up and died if I hadn't been able to escape every weekend to Grandma's house. For a second, I considered going inside. Grandma never locked her doors and waiting for her, but I needed to see her, to have her hug me and tell me what I wanted Mom to say. Don't be scared. It'll be okay. We'll make it be okay. So instead of going inside, I found the little deer path at the edge of the northernmost lavender field that led to the bluffs, and I followed it, letting my fingertips trail over the top of the closet plants so that I walked as they released their sweet silvery scent into the air around me, like they were welcoming me home. It felt like years since I'd been here, even though it had been only 4 weeks. John didn't like Grandma. He thought she was sinful. I'd overheard him tell Mom that Grandma was a witch and was going to hell. He's such an ass. Then an amazing thought hit me, and I came to a complete stop. My parents no longer controlled what I did. I wasn't going to live with them ever again. John couldn't tell me what to do anymore. Whoa. How awesome. So awesome that it sent me into a spasm of coughing that made me wrap my arms around myself like I was trying to hold my chest together. I needed to find Grandma Redbird, and I needed to find her now. That is the end of chapter 4. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.